um, where you can kind of see what's going on, but also engage with the stream. And we're going to be doing live building of some Shroot 2s. If you haven't seen lately, the Shroot 2 has been out. There we go. So we're going to build live. We're going to build some Shroot 2s. So if you have any questions or you want to know more about all the new Fuzzin products, we got a ton of cool stuff that's coming out. And in the last little bit, a lot of cool stuff has come out. Hey, we got some viewers right off the bat. Hope everyone's having a good afternoon. Trying to get a little situated. It's a little harder to do the orientation of the screen for this to where you get a good view of what I'm doing, but I'll do my best to not lean too far in. Let's see if I might have to do something like this. This is my little solder rack here. Let's see. Maybe we can go like that. Something. We'll get it sorted. So anyway, we're going to be building Shroot 2s live on stream. This is our most popular product of all time. It's based off the Crusher platform, which is a 5-knob, super versatile amp-in-the-box distortion overdrive unit. Sounds good into your effects loop. And these are made with a SMD fabricated board. So it's all high-end quality components, but the lead time and assembly time is dramatically less than what I usually do. And so I really want to put a plug in. Shroot 2s, I got the second batch of boards. They're over here. It's got all the parts to build 50 more, and I just ordered another of these earlier this week, so another 50 in the chute, ready to go. I'm beating my second run deadline. It said late October. I'm shipping 8 more out today. In addition, any legacy orders, so I'm not just building these right now. 3/4 of my day is building legacy orders, getting caught up from this summer. There were some things this summer where I had to help the family business, and I also, in addition to helping the family business, was short on bills myself, so I didn't really have a choice. So it took a lot of bench time away on the a little bit of July and August orders, and even into September there was kind of a wave of orders that started catching up. All legacy orders are still in process, still rocking a bunch out, but I want to show you guys how quick these go together, and so we're going to just jump right into it. So I got my soldering iron heated up. I already pre-drilled the cases, so those are ready to go. I might have to do a little bit of soldering on stream, but if you have any questions about the company, about builds, about pedals in general, or you just want to hang out and talk, I'm here for it. So yeah, this is what I do every day. I'm a full-time guitar pedal builder, and I really enjoy it. It's basically my dream job, and things are going really well right now. So I hope things are going well for you as we come into fall season, looking towards the holidays are right around the corner. Got Halloween really around the corner, and I'm really excited about the current direction of the company. People have been really excited about these last couple designs. The drone gazer is really super cool. It's a dual distortion pedal, and I've been promoting it, and there's a few clips out of the final production model, and Zach Fuzz Drones himself just got his official final production version prototype today and was telling me how much he loved it. So definitely worth checking out. But yeah, if you want a really good pedal that you probably are going to get pretty quick, I highly recommend the Shroot 2. We are going to be shipping those out mega fast, and everyone's really happy with what they've been hearing so far. So big news there. Oh, my friend, just like I said, Zach just texted me, Fuzz Drones just texted me how much he's loving the new pedal, because he has, I think, 3 or 4 prototypes of it, and so this is kind of his first hands-on with the final version that's really low noise and implements all the mods and tweaks that we've incorporated, and he's very excited. So there also will be a run 2 of the Gazer with a different color scheme that will be announced before too much longer here. It was monochrome, cool, kind of a raw aluminum finish with a print over it that looks really sharp. So we'll be seeing some of that soon. And those boards for the drone gazers, since we've dialed it in and all that, Those have been on order for over a week now and should be here any day. My guess is early next week, just with, shipping estimates and how things go. So good time to get in for the drone gazer run because those will start shipping out right after that. And yeah, just really excited that all these products are resonating with people. And yeah, FuzzImp is doing big things this year. Just kind of really took a big 180 for the company. Summer sales were kind of light, and I think it was kind of hard to find products that were super resonating with people at the level that I would like. I've been building pedals since the beginning of the year and had, some minor success with certain launches, and then it seemed really hard to get the momentum going again. But I'm really happy where things are at right now. People are really digging the stuff and working on smashing those lead times that have been killing us for a while. So grabbing some pots out of a big bag. Give you a pro tip for building pedals. So if you have a pot and you have a PCB mount, PCB, bend the legs in slightly and the friction will hold it in place so you can maneuver it around and load whatever else in that you need. Just one of those small little process things that really helps get it together. But yeah, the Shroot 2's been resonating. I got some cool new guitars not super long ago I'm really excited about. I'm gonna do some new demos for the Shroot 2 and Gazer real soon here. And yeah, so we'll see how everything goes. But yeah, I'm gonna build a couple Shroots on stream, maybe a couple other little things, and then I gotta jump off and test, pack, and ship for the day. And then I'll be working tonight. I've been trying to push myself just a little bit as far as working more hours, getting more bench time, and getting more done per day. My average for a long time has been around 5 pedals a day. Now I'm wanting to get closer to like 10 plus. I want to really push and see what I can do now that I have these new designs that go together a lot smoother. So we'll just kind of have to see how everything goes. It could end up going super smooth and really push that output. But I'm getting the most pedals out that I ever have, and everything that's going out, people are really super happy with. So yeah, it's a good place to be. I'm also building, if you ordered a surprise, those, I had the board redesigned a couple times, and then they were delayed, but those are going to start shipping out. I'm starting those tonight and tomorrow. Going to get a lot of those out as soon as possible. Basically, there's just some different builds that were really time and labor intensive that are really super hands-on that I'm trying to modernize and make the workflow as efficient as possible. So, but yeah, these go together really nice, and they sound. This is probably my best circuit, and it's funny because a lot of my successful pedals aren't fuzzes. So Shroot 2 is not a fuzz, if you didn't know. It's actually a kind of amp in the box overdrive that just has a lot of gain, and with the EQ you can push it and get it into some HM2 territory, which is really super cool. So that's kind of what's going on there. So we've got the whole assembly ready to go, and we're ready to put some jacks and power on it. And then I'll end up setting it to the side after it's like all subbed up and stuff, because they have to be biased by hand with the internal gain trim pot. And then that's the last step before signing the inside and pack it and ship it. So yeah, got a couple other non-Shroot 2 builds. I only work on these about 2 hours a day just to try and get some out to the customers. I'm actually beating my estimated late October ship date time frame. And so I think there's going to be some very happily surprised customers shortly. Actually, I just realized this is the only build that I do where I can't put this in first because it gets in the way when I load this stuff. So anyway, stay on task. I've been switching to these new LED bezels. I really like them. They're in a nice aluminum bezel. Oh, sorry. Here you go. And yeah, all the new stuff also has relay switching, which is really a game changer. So the way a mechanical relay switch works is that it's not buffered. It's just got a like electrically activated bypass, and so it's very soft switching that's pretty much noiseless. And then it'll give you longer lifespan, but it's also true bypass. So if there's no pedal power running to the pedal, it still passes signal straight through the jacks, just like a normal hardwired true bypass switch does. So it's a big upgrade. Not all companies have made the transition. It's kind of a bigger company thing, is where you usually see it more. And it's really nice to be able to implement that with these latest designs. It's all thanks to Tim from Bardic Audio on our design front. Also, people were asking me, what is the Shroot 2? What is it a clone of? It's not a clone of anything. It's actually an original design. So it very loosely started its life based on the drive section of a pedal called the Sonic Titan, which was by David Main of a DAM audio fame, and also who builds the tone benders. He's a boutique fuzz builder. It's really world renowned, but he had a pedal in the early 2010s that had a really interesting sound to it. So the drive section of the Shroot 2 is loosely based on that, with a ton of, like, basically it just was completely redesigned from the ground up otherwise. And so it is an original circuit, but it loosely has some heritage based on a really cool design that's pretty rare and not a lot of people know about, because it was kind of a not super well known pedal. So super cool piece. It has an amp in the box style feel. There's a lot of output. There's a lot of cool EQ to it, because it has a low and mid active pre-drive EQ that are sweepable with the bottom two controls, the kick and punch on this, and I think it's low and mid on the Crusher product. So super cool stuff. There's really nothing else like it on the market, and people seem to really dig it. I don't put out stuff that's bad, but customers in particular have been really stoked with how they like this, especially, people who don't love fuzz, because it's not a fuzz at all. I think that's the irony. One of my pretty much my best-selling pedal of all time, and historically, my best-selling pedals are not fuzz pedals, which can be a little confusing if you're new to the company and don't realize we make stuff that's not fuzz. I just happen to be a huge fan of fuzz, and we do still sell fuzz, but most of what we sell I would consider more in the distortion territory, with a few exceptions. The Drone Gazer does have kind of a fuzz section in it, but it also, in my mind, is more a pair of distortions. So, it's kind of semantics, because a lot of high gain pedals can kind of cover a lot of that different ground. So, anyway, that's just kind of my take on it. It's just kind of funny how the market works, because some people really like fuzz, and some people really don't. And for whatever reason, my not fuzz pedals sell more. So, I'm not gonna fight it. We're okay. People will get the pedals that they want. I'll just keep making more of them. So, but yeah, these soft switches are great. As you can hear, there's not even any real noise, and even when it engages and disengages, it's so minor. It's just a total game changer, So that's a Shroot 2. It's the big push right now, the big news, the big thing. I'm going to try and shoot some new demos, maybe even as soon as tonight. We'll just kind of see how the night goes. I'm going to be pretty deep in some builds tonight. like I said, I'm really trying to make sure that my output is the absolute highest it can be with all this wave of new orders coming in. I do not want to get buried, so I'm making extra sure to put in the extra time and budget permitting, I might even bring in some part-time help to cover a lot of tasks that I need help with, just to make the whole process smoother and make sure that things are getting done as quickly as possible. Even as simple as having all my cases pre-drilled and having a friend of mine kind of help prep harnesses. Obviously I'll still be doing final checks and final, assembly on everything, but just having that little bit of extra delegation, I think, would go a long way right now with just the amount of growth that I'm having. Instagram is kind of exploding right now. But anyway, I was talking to some friends today. So there's that new Netflix show, Squid Games or whatever. I checked it out. I really like it. People were saying already saying I should do a pedal that's inspired by that. I don't know that there's a pedal theme that I think could be like a tasteful, like homage to the thing, and not just be like not come up like a cheap play for cash. So I want to make sure if I do something, it's going to be like a tasteful homage that, captures the spirit of what the show is about, not just a shameless plug. Like the whole point of the shoot too is that it's kind of a funny, like meme, but it's also an homage to my favorite character from one of my favorite shows. So it's not a total, shameless rip-off kind of a situation. It's more like, just like with my Dark Souls pedals, I really like all that stuff. And that's the only time I do those, like, designs inspired by pop culture. So it's like, I want it to be recognizable for what it is, but I don't want to be ripping anybody off, is basically what I'm saying. I also don't want to put all the effort in to do a promotional campaign and get shut down with a cease and desist. So, it's a fine line sometimes. Yeah, we're putting on the jacks right now. And then this is actually really close to being done. There's only a few more solder joints, and this pedal is already complete. So that went together really nice. And yeah, it's good times. Good times in the neighborhood. And if you didn't know, if you're new to Fuzz Imp or whatever, or maybe you knew me from my old YouTube demo days, I'm the same Justice Gash that's been running this channel since 2010 or whatever. I just build pedals for a living now, and I really enjoy it. It's a challenging business, like from a business perspective, to rely on it for your income. I know a lot of guys, they won't make the transition to full-time until pretty deep into their success, and I kind of jumped into it right away. And I've been fortunate enough to kind of keep that momentum going. Lost a little during summer, but it's just been a huge transition, learning business, like how to run a business, how to handle like the complexities of supply chain issues during Corona and stuff. But yep, so we're almost done with this build. We'll bust out one more, and then probably switch gears, and I may have to jump off the live to work on some other stuff, but I might do some of it on stream. We'll just have to see. I'm pretty well set up, so I shouldn't need to jump off right away unless I have an important phone call or something, but we'll just see how it goes. Also, I have my tunes on. I'm listening to YouTube music as I work. It just kind of helps me keep a flow going. Listening kind of like dance music, I guess you would call it, right now, just because it helps keep me upbeat. We're getting into the part of the day where I kind of need to wrap up whatever I'm going to ship for the day, and I have kind of a limited time to do so. So I just got to keep an eye on the clock and make sure I have enough time to do all my little wrap-up activities on the builds that are heading out. But we are really, really close. One of my pet peeves with pedals is that the jacks are loose. That's why I try to go through and make sure, every nut is completely tightened and good to go. It's going to survive the abuse of USPS, uh, or, even going as far as Canada or the UK or what have you. I want to make sure that my stuff is able to hold up for the long journey. So yeah, that's the main portion of the build, and now we're going to put knobs on real quick, and then I'm going to put it in my box to go get tested here shortly. So, yeah. But it's just been a nice change. Like, I'm running ads on these, on the Shrew 2, and um, like before, sometimes with my demos, like, get a lot of mixed response, like a lot of negativity. But for whatever reason, maybe it's just, luck with these particular demos. People have been really responsive, actually. So, yeah, I'm just grateful that, you know, it can be pretty uphill trying, you put all this time, money, and effort into a design, and sometimes they flop. I've tried out like 12 different designs that sold less than 10 units. And sometimes maybe it's just not marketing it correctly, or maybe it was timing, or whatever, but, when something does good, you're just so grateful that that's the case. So, one thing I'm doing is I try to make sure that when all the knobs are maxed, that they all line up nice and parallel, which when they're turned at an angle, it can be hard to see. So, Shrew 2, this is the one to get. Everyone's buying one. So definitely get in on this. Get in on these. These are they're a really good pedal. I'm not just saying that because I make it, but I'm just saying, like, of what I've made, this is pretty much like the peak of what I can do. So, ready to start the next one? Go through the whole harness process again. So I'm gonna put, and this was the case on the OG Crusher as well. It's just the internal bias is really important. It controls the master. It's basically the master gain for the whole pedal. But if it's a little bit wimpy, you just bump it up just a slight hair. These I bias pretty carefully because I want them to be as good as they can out of the gate. But if you have an old Shrew or Crusher pedal, there's a chance you could, if you're not liking how much gain it has or whatever, you can bump it up slightly. And I've always meant to do like a guide on how to do it. I didn't, so it's pretty straightforward. It's like where the, you know what, we gotta wait through that. Let's warm up just a little bit more. But I don't think I've done a build stream on YouTube in a long time. I'm just kind of going through all my socials, catching up with people, and make sure they know that I'm alive and working hard on their gear. I know most of my fan base hangs out on Instagram and Facebook, but I know that some people have been around since the YouTube days, so try to touch base everywhere. Obviously, we have demos for all the new products. Mainly, the big push right now is, like I said, is the Shrew 2 Crusher pedal and the Drone Gazer, which I showed on stream a bit. 2 full pedals in one. Amazing value at $175. 2 really cool circuits that independently can sound really good and get even into overdrive and crunchy distortion territory. And then as you dime them out, they can be high gain on their own, and you can have, the 2 pedals cascade into each other, so it can sound really super cool. So definitely take a look at the Drone Gazer. Those are going to start shipping out really shortly, and there's still a few spots left in the run. So that's what's going on there. Now we're going to do all the off-board wiring. stuff. There's there. Then we'll add pots. Then we'll attach jacks and put in the case, and then there you go. Bob's your uncle. You got a pedal. One thing I might show just quickly on stream, because people were pretty interested, is how I drill things. Because I live in an apartment and I don't have a drill press. I use like hand drills, electric drills, just by hand. And people were kind of curious how I go about that. I was talking about it earlier in one of my Discord groups that I'm in. And yeah, so people were pretty curious because I do a lot of pedals and I managed to not make very much mess even living in an apartment, and I'll show you why I'm able to do that in just a minute. You're wondering what I'm reaching over for. So when you're feeding solder, especially with these fine point wires that are going on this harness, sometimes you can over feed the tip, and that's why I keep going over to my sponge to make sure I'm keeping my tip nice and sharp and clean. I use one that's kind of like a flat head screwdriver shape because I find that the solder flows down into the part a lot better with that shape. Just a little pro tip. For any DIYers or people who do soldering, that's kind of what I do. And I don't use a super fancy iron. I use one that you can buy right on, you can get it right on Amazon for $10 is the iron that I like. And I've only gone through a few of them since I've been building pedals, so. Reaching down to get some pots. And like I said, there's this little maneuver here. You can pinch the legs together to keep tension when you're loading the rest of the board or moving it around or whatever. And lately what I've been doing is, one second, is tacking on I just tack one or two legs per pot to make sure that as I'm feeding it in, these are going in straight. It can be hard to do it. I've seen people do it different ways. I've seen people load the case with the pots and kind of set the PCB down over it. I don't think I've ever had that good of luck doing it that method, but there's ways that are better than others, but in terms of like, there's no set, this is the way you build a pedal, right? You just try what works and whatever's the most effective for your style. Get this ready to go and drop in. Got a LED bezel here. Gotta get that going. So funny. The thing about pedals, like I'm not a super small person. You're dealing with a lot of little tiny parts all day. And sometimes it's just like incredibly detailed work. But that's about how it goes. Yeah, these Shroot 2s, if I'm not doing massive exposition and just chilling on YouTube, talking with the nice people, these go together in about 20 minutes. So at this point, we'll feed the LED in. It's got this little kind of like retaining washer that squares it up to the middle of the pedal, and that's what this is. This little plastic piece that I was putting on. So yeah, that all goes in. And now we're gonna line all our pots up. So one of my most useful tools is these long needle nose, because there's this operation where I have to slide that placement washer plastic deal I just showed. It's got to get pushed down in there, and boom, 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 boom. There you go. LEDs in place. Everything's looking real good. Neato. So we're going to throw a couple washers and nuts on the pots to hold everything in place. Yeah, if anybody has questions or anything, just chime in. I haven't seen any pop up yet. Any gear on the horizon? Any new amps or pedals really catching your eye that you're really looking forward to? I've been talking about on some of my other streams, I really want to do a Joe Satriani tribute guitar kind of build for myself, because I'm a huge Joe Satriani fan, believe it or not. And you can get his import model, like sky blue sparkle with a maple fretboard, for like $800 new, probably quite a bit less used if you can find a deal. And it's a super cool piece. And I played one at a store, and my only thought was it really just needs a pickup upgrade for the bridge pickup. It has a nice like rail pickup, hot rail type pickup for the neck. It sits there nice and sounds really good. And anyway, I'm pretty stoked on that. Doing that build sometime this year, maybe. I can't always buy a ton of gear just because, my priority is making sure the company is nice and stable and we're able to stock up on parts and inventories and get new designs going and all that stuff. So there's a lot of that going on behind the scenes. But I do love me some gear, so it is coming. There we go. Cool. Now we're ready to solder some more stuff. This thing is, I run my my iron pretty hot. So you want to move in and move out as quick as you can. And if you have multiple things to solder that are right next to each other, sometimes I'll, move pretty quick from one thing to the next. You're holding a 500-degree pencil. You can't mess around. It might be closer to 600 degrees Fahrenheit, actually, but whatever 350C is, if someone wants to do the conversion, it's hot. And especially on these boards where there's little parts nearby where I'm putting a solder bead in, you can't mess around. Gotta be real careful. Anyway, so that's about ready. Oh, nice! Hey, I'm so glad you're enjoying that, man. I honestly spaced. I was gonna track it all the way up to you, but I'm glad you really enjoy that one. And that also has that internal trim pot thing I was talking about. I wouldn't mess with it too much, but if it's a little bit too hot or a little bit too cold, you can go in there and there's a blue arrow-shaped trim pot inside there that can be, if you're really careful with how you adjust it, it adjusts your master level of gain. But if you're liking how it sounds, Paul, then I'm glad. That's a really cool pedal. I actually have sold a few of those. I was going to discontinue that version of it just because I didn't think people liked it, or maybe they didn't get the joke or something, but I love that circuit. I think it's a great circuit, I'm glad that what he was talking about, Top Jack Horseman, which is 3-knob super versatile amp in the box style drive. It's actually the same circuit that's in the original 3-knob shrew is what's going on there. So yeah, make sure that it gets everything good and in place. Now we're going to do jacks, and we'll be looking good. We're at about 226, 230. Probably run till about 240 with the stream, and then, like I said, I got to jump off and wrap up a bunch of different stuff and do some drilling and some things that aren't as fun to watch on stream. But I might do some drilling on stream just to show people how I do it, because there was some mild curiosity on how I do what I do. I think sometimes it's more interesting than what I do, you know what I mean? Or maybe why I do it the way I do it, and how that and what that means, you know. But yeah, going through, we just did the foot switch, now we just did the power. Now we're going to do some nice big jacks for these. So one nice thing I like about building in this size case, so if it's top mount on a skinny case, like some of my other pedals have, where it's got like a, where it's the, the like normal size pedal that's a little bit smaller, you have to use a special kind of jacks. So I have to get like extra nice ones to make sure that I'm still getting the quality I need. And I like being able to use these full size because the case allows for it. Not all the cases that I've done in the past allow for using these. And these, they just have a nice feel. So, yeah. I've always been really big. I do not cheap out on hardware. I don't cheap out on anything on the builds, but especially not hardware, because that's, your high use components. I want people to have their pedals working really good for a really long time, So, I think that should do it. Let's make sure we got all our solder points in there. So, yeah, it's sometimes the build process doesn't look like it, but it's actually really close to being done. And so we were not far out. So. This is one of the most important things that I do, is putting the jack nuts on and making sure they're nice and good and tight, because you don't want to lose. Oh, thank you. You just ordered one last night. That's awesome. I was so you may not have seen it. Nice. What got me into building pedals? I used to demo pedals for small builders that were friends of mine. I was a big pedal collector. I was collecting fuzz from small builders pretty much exclusively. So all of last year, I put out over 150 demos of fuzz pedals. So I was doing a lot of that. And that's kind of, as I got more familiar with fuzzes and kind of what I liked, I started getting excited about potentially making some. And so I do make the pedals now. Basically, I built my first kit and I was instantly hooked. My first kit worked, and it sounded better than a bunch of pedals that I had ever heard, that I had already had, rather. And I think I just got lucky with what I chose, which was a really cool kit called an OKF, a one-knob fuzz. It's basically like a one-knob fuzz face, and I actually have versions of that circuit in my product line, especially my older product line, less so now. I think I only have the V3 fuzz now. If it's even up on the site, which is a cool unit, but there just didn't seem to be as much interest in it, so I didn't push it as hard. Basically, the one that looks like this has this is one that I had around that has the old logo on it, but it's got one knob and two switches, but it's like a super cool, like a little bit gated, really aggressive, loud fuzz that saturates tube amps nice when you run it really high on the volume. So it's just a killer build all around. But yeah, that's kind of, I had friends that built pedals, and so I had a lot of guidance when I first got started, and it really quickly went from, hey, I like building pedals to I'm going to do this for a living, and it all happened just this year, at the beginning of the year. Now, granted, I spent a lot of time doing my own research and learning about circuits and transistors and how circuits work and stuff, but a lot of my training has been on the job. So yeah. Yeah, exactly. I mean, so my background was being a demo guy, and so I try to be a little bare bones with my riffs. Like, I'm not trying to show off with my playing. It's basically like, here's the pedal plugging straight into my amp where it sounds like it sounds in the room, you know? And I'm really big on that. So most of the time, people can make my pedals sound better than I can. But yeah, so yeah, 4 of these are going out. So just as a heads up, if you order a Shrew 2, they are getting built and shipped really fast. Because like I may have mentioned earlier in the stream, I don't know if you guys were here or not, but I got my first shipment of the boards for those. So those are coming together and going out fast. I am going to end up, I basically used up, I already used up every single case that my printer had in stock of the white case that the logo goes on. So I can get out, I think, another, besides what I built today, probably like another 8, I think I have cases for. So we got more than, gosh, I don't even know how many altogether. Something like 25. There'll be something like 25 Shrew 2s in the wild by the end of this week. So really good news. Stuff's going together quick. I got to work on another project real quick, but I'm going to show you guys a little bit about how you drill in an apartment. So I have this cardboard box, and it's actually got quite a few shavings in it. So what I do is, we're sitting on a desk, right? So we have that going. I have the cardboard. You take the flap, and you set it here. And then I have 2 different drills. And so what I'm doing is I'm going to drill into it at a slight angle so that the shavings fall off into the box. And, the case already has where all the holes go marked out. And I pre-drill with this driver that has a 2mm bit on it, because it makes a nice guide hole for the big bit. And this is just how I do it now. I am going to transition into having my print guy like CNC all the holes. It just didn't make a lot of sense for how we were doing it before to do it this way, where we have pre-drilled everything. It only takes a few minutes to drill. And then I kind of shake the shavings back in, and I'll do a cleanup sweep on the pedal face after I do all the pre-drilling. Bear with me with this drill. This is a drone gazer, so it has a bunch of holes. So see, there's a little bit of shavings. You want to wipe that dust off really carefully with your fingers, making sure that there's no little chunks or anything that are going to scratch the face as you're working with the pedal, because these cost quite a bit once they're powder coated, printed, shipped, all that. You don't want to scratch, or I have to sell it as B stock. Okay, everything's pre-drilled. Now I'm going to use what's called a step bit, which I had never used before I got into building pedals, really. I think I used a little bit when I did some guitar repair type stuff. But yeah, this is it's a step bit, so it has steps that are pre-drilled measurements. And so I have it memorized, the count for the steps for each size hole that I need to drill. So like that was a 7, is what that was. But I just prefer this because I have a lot of control over it. I know a lot of guys use a drill press, and I've seen that that works well, I guess, but I haven't made the transition because I don't want to make a big mess in my house. So those ones I have to get exactly right because that's where the toggle switches go through, and it only has a small nut, so those have to be exactly the right size. Some of the other ones can be just slightly oversized and you would never know. But those two in particular, I do sweat a little bit because they're just fractionally smaller than this ones for pots. So we almost got it. And then we're going to put together this drone gazer. And that's it. It's a drilled case. So the step bit goes really fast. Goes the right size. I've seen guys do it other ways where I don't know if they pre-drill, but they like pre-drill and then do the size bit that they're going to use. Like a conventional drill bit that doesn't have steps, but that's how I do it. So we got it nice and clean, all the holes that we need for this particular build. And yeah, we're going to start putting it together. This is one of the prototypes, and it's going out to a friend of mine to check out. So all the production models, the boards will arrive next week is what I'm guessing. I think I said late next week or so. Hopefully, the stuff has been running just a little bit early, which has been really nice. So I'm about to load an IC. I'll show you in a second what that looks like. So these have like 8 legs like a spider. Oh, here, let me see if I can get it in the camera. They have 8 legs like a spider, but the way this board works, it has to fit in just right. So I was partially pre-bending the legs. So sure enough, it drops right in. So I'm not going to bend the legs on the way in and create more problems for myself. What I just did is I took my thumbnail and flicked 2 of the legs so that it holds the chip in place, so I can flip the board around and solder it as needed. So yeah, and then we're going to do all the offboard wires that go to this. So for the jacks and stuff. And the LEDs get added later. Those are some really cool new LEDs that I'm playing with for this build. They come pre-wired with some leads. The leads are a little bit long, but anyway, I'll show you guys in a second what that looks like. It's pretty cool. Still, this build is, to build one of these by hand with the 2 circuits in it and all the offboard wiring that it would take to put it together, the first prototypes I did for Zach and the ones that you saw in the videos, those took half a day to build, so like 4 to 5 hours at the bench between all the soldering and hand wiring. And now this build can be done in like half an hour. So from 4 hours to half an hour, I'll take that change. And they're good. They're lower noise because there's not so much extra nonsense wiring everywhere that is, adding to the noise factor. And Zach, like I said, is really excited. Buzz Drones, the guy, he has a small YouTube channel as well, but has a nice presence on Instagram and a really cool cult following. Really cool guy. Uh, I think his YouTube will blow up real quick here with all the cool demo work he's been doing. Okay, so that's going to wind up a little bit. But yeah, I'll show you those LEDs while we're waiting for that. I'll pull them out here. Woo! Got a little bit of something going on right here. Here we go. So they have these long leads on them, but they have these really cool lenses. I really like these. I don't use them on everything because it just doesn't make sense for the build. Like, it wouldn't work on the Shroot 2 because of they have these really long, like these are about an inch and maybe a little longer, like an inch and a quarter long. So it works good in this thicker case that the drone gazer is in. But I'll try out some different ones down the road and see if I like those better. But I like these. These are cool. So yeah. Iron's probably ready. Keeping the tip clean on your soldering iron is really important. A lot of times what I'm doing when I test with that little bit of solder is I'm just making sure that it's flowing good before I get too heavy on the soldering. So what you don't want is where it's like sticking to the tip and not the part. But it's just everything I do is just the accumulation of a ton of little steps, right? It's like I got into pedal building because I talked to a lot of pedal builders, and I is not great at soldering, but a few projects in, all of a sudden my soldering is starting to improve, and I got good quality solder. That's a really important part with these, and it all worked out. So there you go. This is going out to my friend Chris up in Canada. We'll see. I might have to jump off stream because I need to go run and just do a couple like quick things on the computer and some other little, end of day tasks before I focus on biasing these and getting them all packaged up. I'm going to send out about, I think, 9 pedals today is what we got that we're going out today. So pretty good output. And then I'll work hard tonight. So I have all these harnesses ready to go, and I'm going to build all those out tonight and get all those out. Those are for some legacy products that take a little more time. So I like to do that when I'm a little more not up against the shipping day deadline. And I like to have a huge batch of stuff ready to go out on Friday. So getting out as much stuff as I can and having fun. Okay, so that was all of our offboard wiring. Now we just need to get all the pots. Get all the pots in. One. I'm gonna do that same. Just give it a little squeeze. Oh, and if you can't see on the bench, I have a little mat that I switch out regularly. Oh, and I just realized one thing. We put that op amp in and didn't solder it on yet. So there's a little bit of debate about soldering in op amps in place. So I solder them in place because I don't want them coming loose during shipping. Now, that's just my personal little decision about something that's part of my flow. But other builders don't do it. The thing is, you have to give it enough time to rest between solder points. You can't just apply a ton of heat to the chips because it will shorten their life. But if you go in and you move quick and you don't mess around, you can solder them in quick. One thing I've been doing lately, just to make sure I don't run into any issues, so I put a tiny little piece of electrical tape to make sure that if there's a pot that goes right over it, and you really won't see this inside the build just because it doesn't show up, but it keeps it from potentially shorting out to the back of the pot, just in case it kind of, during install, it scratches through the little bit of protective coating and maybe shorts out to the back of the pot, because that's what you don't want, because then your pedal just doesn't work right. There's a lot of little considerations that go into it. Pedals is basically just a long string of little random tasks that by the end of it, you have a really cool device that works really good and, someone can use in their rig for years. Listening to so I leave YouTube music just on autoplay, and every once in a while songs will pop up and I'm like, okay, the mood just changed because you felt like it. Okay, I'm down. So like right now it's playing some crazy, like heavy EDM remix of Seven Nation Army. It's just like got a bunch of bass going on in it. It's kind of funny. Oh, but if you use code FUZZ in the store, you get 10% off, and I highly recommend if you want a pedal with the shortest amount of lead time. I have some of my legacy stuff for sale. I would recommend if you want something relatively quick, I would score a Drone Gazer or a Shroot 2 right now. Those are the top sellers anyway, but those have the quickest turnaround. And, you get in now, you're basically going to reserve. Oh, yeah, the Bonfire. That's a really good pedal, dude. Cool. Okay, we're done there. Where are we at time-wise? We're right about an hour. Yeah, I'm going to have to jump off here in just a few minutes, but we'll see how far we can get on this build with you guys watching, because it is kind of fun. So these are the toggle switches that go for the Drone Gazer. So what I do is I put them in and leave them a little bit loose so that they have some flexibility to move as I... Oh, and you know what I just remembered? Funny story. So I set these for 6. This particular build, my drill pattern, I have to widen a few of these to a 7, so that it has the room to stretch as it goes inside. I learned with my first couple. So as I said, all the little details. Sometimes you are 1 millimeter away from your life being really difficult or going really smooth. So I'm glad I caught that. It's like, that's why I try to do certain builds in batches, because I'll remember all the little steps that go to it. But it's fine. We're just doing it live. So what I did is I left that, so it has a little bit of wiggle room. And yeah, getting a toggle switch right here. Cool. Cool. Like Abed from Community. Cool. There we go. Yeah, I'm glad everybody that jumped in chat today has a couple cool pedals that they really dig. I do want to do another Dark Souls pedal here soon. I think I talked about it on some other streams, like a new original one that has like original fan art that I could maybe keep around for a long time without having to worry about a lawsuit or something. Because fan art is totally okay, so long as it doesn't have the name of certain, like if it doesn't have the outright name of the character or something. So it's really weird what qualifies as trademarks. Cool. There we go. So now put all the pot washers and nuts on. I try to be really big about the fit and finish of my pedals, making sure everything is locked down, sturdy, and it's going to give you a long, long life of utility. I use these really cool rocket socket wrenches. They won't scratch the finish. So if you use a conventional socket or if you use like a hand crescent wrench like I did for my early days, there's a good probability if you're not extremely careful, you'll end up scratching the finish, which you don't want. You want a nice, good, smooth finish. You don't want to. Nobody wants a scratched up like B stock grade pedal. You don't want a nice, clean, brand new, shiny pedal, unless it was like a relic or something. But yeah, code Fuzz in the store, fuzzimp.com, fuzzimp.com. You can check out all the stuff that we've got for sale and get a little discount for yourself with code Fuzz, all caps, FUZZ. Highly recommend it. Right now, the shop is doing the most output we've ever done, getting a ton of units out to people, and people are really excited about it, which makes me excited for them. And yeah, we're having a good time. So we'll do a couple more things here on stream. And I got to jump off, go take care of some miscellaneous odds and ends before I start packing and shipping out all the stuff for the day. But, yeah, thanks for hanging out, anybody. If some people have been here pretty much the whole time, I really appreciate you. And catch up later. Try and have some new demos out soon. So stay tuned. We'll have some new demos out for the Shroot 2 and the Gazer. Zach from Fuzz Drones is going to have a new demo out soon from the Gazer Final. And Arnold from Arnold Plays Guitar has a Shroot 2 that he might be putting a demo out really soon on. It just depends on his schedule. I don't have an ETA on that. But yeah, you can see look how nice and clean. Yeah, I built a bunch of those, Andrew, on stream today. I built 4. And a couple of crushers. Shroot 2, go buy it. Alright, guys, I gotta go. We're gonna end the live stream here for now, because I still have a lot of stuff before I go hit the post office today. I was there earlier getting parts, but now we gotta drop off all your guys' builds. So, have a good one, everyone.